There we go. Thank you for attending the Grover Show. It's a half quarter hangout because Leva can't be here today. He's got some family stuff going on, spending a little time camping out in the woods, and a little bit of work stuff. So you just got me. We're just gonna have a little bit of free show here, hanging out with a few friends. They're bound to jump in every now and then. Until then, I will ramble like a crazy man. If you have any questions, just type them in the chat. I'll be glad to answer what I can. Thank you for having us. We're going to be sure to hit that 420 and the 710 coming up here in 9 minutes. I won't be dabbing or partaking myself personally because I am in the house like always, and the wife would murder me. Oh, a little update on the breeding project. Everything's been chopped down. It's been drying for 2.5 weeks. Should be pretty much picking seeds here in the next weekend or so. Kind of looking forward to it, kind of not. It's going to be kind of chaotic and busy. But, hey, it's part of the show. We're going to have to keep this going. I'm looking forward to having the first round of the AK-39 cross the Storm Shadow. It has great potential, and I'm just really enjoying the way the bud structure turned out on the 8K itself for the selection. Usually they get a little bit purple. This one went like just dark purple right through. I haven't posted many pictures of this one yet because it's obviously still just drying, and I'm not a big fan of posting things until it's done and out of the house. Hold on here, just having some technical difficulties on my show. There we go. So yeah, I'm just gonna throw the open Hangout information on the chat. If you want to join, by all means, feel free. Let me just get this copied and pasted. Hood raid. Nice burp. Glad having you here. I love how I can only have one window open at a time. There we go. I did it. So I hope everyone's had a good day here. I just popped on some of the last of the god bud from my very first harvest. It's been curing for about a year and a half. It's just a heavy indica right now. So you puff it, and you want to have a nice little relaxing time, not do too much. Kind of just ramble on a mic. Where it left to is a what I that grow particularly. I had 3 plants, all god bud. I had a cheap purple LED, and I upgraded to a 450 Viper Spectra, old school LED. And out of 3 plants, I was happily yielding 3/4 of a pound the entire grow. For a first time, I was just glad to get something back in return. Next time around, I didn't use the same strain. I actually popped the AK-39s that I kind of fell in love with because it's the first one I popped from seed, not a cutting. And that's kind of been my keep along, I would say. It's the one in the first batch I like the most. It gave me some troubles. It does hurt me a little bit or show intersex traits, but in the meantime, it's been doing well as long as you know how to feed it properly and don't overstress it. But it can take drought like a champ. In cocoa, it likes not being watered for 3 to 4 days usually. Unlike every other strain I've had in cocoa that needs to be watered pretty much every night. Just for reference, with the 1-gallon pots I grow in for fabric pods, I will water the cocoa with 1 liter of water every night. Later in flower, I will actually decrease watering. I'll go down to like a liter every other night, maybe 750 mils per night, just kind of dampen off a little bit. The purpose of that is just dry out the buds. I won't soak the buds really till the last week, and that's just to get the swollen effect. Really, it's more of a photo thing I do. So the last, I'm gonna say week 5, week 6, I will give it its regular feed, but week 7, I'll kind of just during the flush, I'll give it just the straight water, and I always don't water till there's runoff, which is kind of sacrilegious in the growing community. But I've been handling a lot of these strains long enough that I know how much water they require, and I don't like the waste. Cheers, merch. Cheers, Lori. Cheers, Shipwreck, and cheers, Purple. We have 5 minutes for the 710. I hope you guys get some nice, good dabs from me. And if you're in chat, let me know what you're puffing on. Oh, we have a second participant. Who is it? GMF. Oh, here we go. Raptors hopped on. Cheers, GMF. How's it going? Oh, I see your audio's connected. Cheers, Raptor.
Cheers. How's it going, Shrew?
Not bad. How's it going in Cali?
Oh, can't complain. Nice blue sunny skies. And let me get my video on. Oh.
Nice.
As you can see, lots of sunlight coming in. Have to make this like a nice dark
Just like
room
too, eh?
for audio visual funness. But
Okay.
yeah, it's been pretty good. I'm in a pretty good mood too, not just because of the awesome weather. I actually won a giveaway from a dragon fruit. Uh, the He was giving away dragon fruit, and the name of the account, it was an IG account, is grafting dragon fruit, and he also has a YouTube where he shows just how to dragon fruit, how to do
Oh,
all
nice.
that. And it's important because otherwise, if you don't graft, you would have to wait over like 7 years, about, depending on the maturity of the plant, in order to get fruit. So by grafting, you can possibly just wait a year till you get some fruit. And they're very fast growing plants. So yeah, very excited. You're gonna be getting. I was crossing my fingers for the Sour Patch Kids
Oh,
variety,
yeah.
which they were saying it tastes like Sour Patch Kids. It has very similar flavor profile. But there was three winners. I was the second, and then there was a first place, and that the first person to win got that pick. So
Oh,
I'm going with Pink Panther. Still really good variety. Great. When I was looking up all the specs for it, it was great specs for flavor, for production value, and I forget the other marker, but yeah, I'm gonna be getting that one. I'm gonna be buying another variety that he had on the list. Kathy Van Buren, I think
yeah.
was the name, and that one Tate has a Connie Meyer variety bred into it, which tastes like coconut. So that new variety, Kathy Van Buren, has coconut flavor in it. So I'm gonna be buying two of those, and another one that's oh my gosh, I can't remember the name at the moment. Uh, oh, the Sour Patch Kid one.
Okay.
That one I'm gonna be buying since I couldn't get it, and it's not gonna be available for another month. But I'm fine. I just said, hey, put me on a list if there's a list. I'm willing to put some money down ahead of time too. I actually need to message him that it's like, hey, if you need, payment ahead of time is like money down. I'm fine. I
Nice.
got it. So
Nice.
yeah, increased. I'm getting a lot closer to 30 varieties actually.
Ooh.
So
Ooh.
yeah, it's getting a bit out of control. That's actually why I've been looking into greenhouses so
Okay.
that I can have everything in one place and propagate still. I'm looking into my own propagation and selling these as well. It's my own
Nice.
personal collection, but why not? These things grow super fast and just it's already there. I'm already paying for the water. By the way, you at peak summer season, these just need a gallon a week of
Oh,
water.
wow.
So for those that can grow them and look into it, if you have questions, let me know. And just because if you're in a cooler area, don't think you can't grow it. Greenhouse. If
It's
you have,
7:10. Let's cheers, everybody.
yeah, cheers 710. And yeah, that's about it for all the news for me. How's it going, Jim?
Not
Oh,
bad. How's it going,
excellent.
Kiki? And GMF. Fight for the mic. Go.
Yeah.
Cheers, cheers.
There you go. Who's first? Open mic.
Yes, sir.
Kinky, go ahead.
No, I just came to pop in and talk about cannabis, anything, and the show. What are you covering here on the show? Is it a beginner setups as well?
This one's just a hangout, man. This one's just the kind of killing time because Cuz is away, and the next kind of episode I want him to be involved. I'm thinking about doing child safety in the grow because we both have, little ones running around the house. I think it's a subject that no one really touches on
That's
too much.
actually I've never ever thought about that. What is child safety?
Great subject.
That's awesome.
Well, put it this way, I have little ones, and I'm a salt grower, so I have my pH up, my pH down. There's a corrosive. Don't want to get those on the skins or the eye. Don't want to ingest it. Nutrients itself, some of the stuff can be skin irritants, and just like general tidiness. Like I don't want my kid to get in my grow tent. First off, my wife would lose her shit. Hate to say it, but she's right against it, and for good reasons. Like for me personally, if I rub against a plant, I break out in hives, like hay fever. So I have to be fully closed and covered up when I go in there. I can imagine my kid. I imagine my kid has the same allergy. So I'd hate for him to go in there and be burning for a couple hours and not know what's going on, and then us trying to figure out what the hell's going on. It's like I do simple things. Like my grow tent has a little padlock on double zippers. It just a deterrent. I do have blockades in front of it because I hidden behind boxes, but that's just more or less the kids don't ask questions. It's not that I'm personally trying to hide it. They're just at an age right now where I don't think they need to be curious of it.
Yeah, they wouldn't understand it as well. Like, they wouldn't understand the reason why we cultivate, or what's the use behind it.
Yep.
They're not gonna understand it.
Exactly. So I had an idea that I want to record my kids in the background to prove how much they get into while I do a show.
That's
But
hilarious.
that's what I was thinking. It could potentially work out well, or it could be a shit show. So,
But that would be the idea, because if you're gonna
mhm.
have, this is like more like having a pet than it is having a hobby. And if you're gonna have kids, that's a whole nother set of demands on your time.
I like to say cheers everyone in the account there or in the chat room.
Yeah.
Slush, connoisseur, duckweed.
Duckweed's chowing down.
Yeah, he is. So a little announcement for the show today. In the mailbox I was going through and I came across a little extra pack of Arise by Ari Genetics. Just a little 5-pack of seeds here. Me and Cuz were debating doing a giveaway, and I think it's time to do it. So this will be the introduction of it. To enter, let's say tag 5 friends in the show on the Instagram account, Grow for Show at Instagram or hashtag, and just share the show. Keep it very simple. I'm going to keep it Canada only because Canada always gets Jude. I hate to use that term, but always gets kind of screwed out when the auctions go off in the IRA Discord. So this is kind of our way of saying we can do it too. So again, just it's the hashtag Grow for Show. Tag 5 friends in there. Leave a comment in this episode as well. Oh, I apologize, GMF. It's a term my wife doesn't like as well, seeing as she is Jewish, and I understand you're married to a Jewish lady as well. So I didn't mean to be offensive. It's just a term I do use every now and then. Let's say it's my own political incorrectness.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that you were able to have this giveaway with just like within the borders, because yeah, it's unfortunate. Like I often hear from Shipwreck how it's like, oh, I want to enter this, but why bother? They just told me I couldn't. And luckily for us, him and us, we live in the States, so he could just enter and then whatever, man. If you really want, send it to me. I'll send it to you.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's fortunate that we can help each other out even in those things like community.
Yep.
Yeah.
The main thing we guys want to build is Canadian cannabis community here. Seeing as it went legal, everyone I know most people are interested that do consume it. Some people have no interest in it because they know how time consuming it is. And it can be a very simple thing with 4 plants. It can be a very complicated thing. It's just how much time and effort you want to put into it. It's kind of like a bonsai tree, if you want to be honest. You can let it get all bushy, or you can trim it down and make it look really artistic.
Yeah, it's also circumstance.
I kind of
Yeah,
go a little bit when I train plants or defoliate or whatever. At the end of the day, I have the intent to maximize on bud and density and proper structure, whatever. But there's also a little bit of added incentive where I trim it up in a way it still looks beautiful, like still presentable. A little bit of a bonsai kind of mindset to it, and that keeps defoliating, trimming interesting. It never ever gets boring. It never gets like a chore.
how much effort do you put in training your plants, Kinky?
Oh, I can go either go really hard at it, or I can really go really uh, lightly with it. Like there's plants that I've vegged outdoors for like 3, 4 months, but I enjoyed it because I was just building a big ass bush and I loved it. Like it just came out in that the Mendo dope kind of style. But imagine that for a landrace, skinnier leaves, but skinnier leaves, skinnier stems structure, but still overall quite bushy and quite full of leaves and lush green foliage. And I'd always go hard with the defoliation. Like I'd love the lower parts of my plant, the main stem, it all to be empty because I don't know, it just looked presentable. And it also helps with the whatever mold or whatever things would pop up. It never travel up the plant because there's quite a lot of distance from the soil to the leaves.
Okay.
And I'm talking about like 4 foot, 5 foot, maybe 6 foot plants. So yeah,
And that's an outdoor setting?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Raptor, what about you? I remember last time you did Scarlet Begonias, you were forced to train those ones pretty heavily, just kind of keel them over.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it was
that was
also my
beautiful.
own. Yeah, thanks, Miki. It it was a little nerve-wracking at first to do it because like, well, if this doesn't work, I obviously just knocked off 50% of that work. But yeah, it was more of a I let it over veg and I really wasn't on top of my game. So definitely uh that's on me. I advise making sure you have everything timed out and thought what with the thought of planning everything out ahead of time. So at this week you want to be doing X, at the next week you want to do Y, so on and so forth. So yeah, what I did was kind of as a oh shit moment, kind of like, oh man, like I gotta do something, or it's gonna get cut in half, and then I'm have to like wait another 2 weeks for it to recover and then flip. So yeah, I actually, like I mentioned before, it grew very close up to the light when I had it all the way set up. And when that happened, I had a little panic attack and I was like, okay, wait, I have a floating scrog that I DIY'd myself. I did all the weaving. Everyone just thinks like, we weaved it yourself. Like, yeah, it was woven. I did it on my own. It was like, wasn't completely woven where it's nice and tight at the knots. It's not knotted up. It just overlapped. And
Okay.
that was nice because it allowed me to not have to fuss too much when I just like undid it all. But anyway, I DIY'd my own trellis, and it was not a stationary trellis where it has legs. It was a floating scrog. Thank you very much, Purple Thumb OG, for the idea. And that allowed me to first, like it was just flat on a 180-degree angle, just a flat plane. And then
Raptor,
I
can
took
I
that flat
interrupt?
plane and I rose it up 45 degrees. That allowed me to get close enough to those top, uh, the tips of the plants to like just start weaving in through all of those loops through the scrog. And then as everything was woven in how I wanted it to be at the time, I massaged the corner where it would be basically bent over, just trying to imagine where it's going to be. And then slowly adjusted it, and just bear in mind that how I had it hung was those ratchet hangers. So I was
Okay.
able, one notch at a time, very slowly, methodically, very carefully, get everything done. It probably took me 15, 20 minutes just because I was just taking my time. The living things, just like GMF was saying, it's a pet. Be very careful with how you treat these things. They can be trained, but don't push them too far. It will break. And yeah, I did have like one little snap on a very small stem, but that's just it. That was after I took care of the main stem, though, and I was trying to train everything and spreading everything out as even as I could. But yeah, that's how I was able to do it. So for the people that say they don't like dealing with scrogs, totally understand. you move your plants around, you want to get in there, you want to do certain things that you couldn't do with a scrog. Yeah, that's great. The tent I was growing in it at the time only had one big 65-gallon pot that I wasn't going to move anyway. So it kind of it made sense to
Yeah,
just have
exactly.
another thing. And it wasn't completely stationary scrog either. I could move, like I said before, it went from 180 to 45 and nothing. And another tip is to make sure you have oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot what it's called, but just like,
After, did you fill out the scrog? You fill
yeah,
it
I
out
did,
quite quick.
not completely, but yeah, I would say like 85% filled out. There was like this one corner that had a big gap, but then it later got filled in just through spreading it out and later training
Mhm,
as I
mhm.
saw it needed to be. But the whole tent was just completely filled out.
Yeah,
So
it turned out nicely.
yeah, that being said, it took long, because I said I over vegged, I let things go too long. That was more than 2 months. So GMF, hope you have a good day. It seems like he has to take care of some errands. But yeah, just bear that in mind. Have a schedule. This was done out of necessity, not a planned thing. It's a nice thing to have in your back pocket, though. I
Yes.
will say that. I didn't realize I would need it to that extent. Now I know I can use it if it goes like that. Let's say if I want to grow uh, a very stretchy plant, whatever variety, now I'm fully prepared. And yeah, cheers 2 minutes ago. Well, now 3 minutes ago to the 20. But yeah, I really enjoyed the whole experience after the fact. When it's happening, you're just like, oh, well, just got to deal with it.
Yeah, the
But
first time I did a trellis, I had the same thing. It was just really, really stressful. I wasn't sure if I was going to snap the plants. I went as far as misting my plants, soaking the stems a little bit to make sure they were pliable enough. Now I realize I could just bend them. Like,
One thing I've noticed, Shroob, is that I usually only train plants before they've been watered. Like when outdoors, when I water them and I try to train them, bend them, like, twist the stems,
yeah,
all that crap, they'd be more likely to snap cleanly off or break in a very detrimental way is only after they've been watered. But before they've been watered, you can go ham with it. But after watering, they're more turgid, full of water. So you bend slightly, ever so slightly in the wrong way, or you kind of fuck it up, you might just, kill the plant or just break off a stem.
very interesting, because I did my training after I watered. Maybe it was in between, some like a sweet spot. So now I'm
Rapid.
really curious
I'd
what's the
usually
best
water
time.
at night. I'd usually water at
Mm,
night. Yeah. And so I'd usually train during the day. So I can immediately get a response from the plant like 5 to 10 minutes later. I'd see that the training somehow worked. It's magic. So I can get like an immediate response with the light being there. But
mm.
yeah,
nice.
I'd usually find them more easily like damageable after watering. So I avoid watering when I'm gonna train.
Yeah, interesting. I would have thought, something different, but maybe, that because it's full of water, maybe it's not as, you were saying it's more turgid, so just full of
Mhm.
water. Yeah, I'd like to try that out on different things. But in terms of what I would do, typically I would water, and then next day train. So it would
Mhm.
have something, which I was told it's another one of those things. You need to do these things.
Yeah,
And like, if you're told something, okay, that's interesting, but try it out. Don't just blindly follow whatever, try it out and have one plant in the same conditions, another clone, a spare clone, if you happen to have one, and try that out.
Mhm.
So
makes
yeah,
sense.
it's
That's such an
One
first
way
thing.
one way I'd test if the plants were outdoors and if it's rained on, I usually wouldn't train because they're full of water. But one way I tell is I usually go touch the leaves and the leaf is quite cold and if it feels like it's full of moisture, I don't train. But if it feels quite dry and quite lacking in the sense I don't know how to explain it, but if it feels like it's slightly less full of
You
water,
know
then
your plant. Yeah, yeah. You know when it's slightly more engorged with water or not, or at least that's keep an eye out for that. Train yourself to look out for
Mhm.
those things. Like, hey, go in there enough times so you start to notice those things. Touch your plant. Make sure you're obviously clean hands, all clean. This should all be done beforehand. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, definitely
I always
those
advocate
little things.
growing the strain multiple times. Like make
Yeah.
sure you keep running it because the first time you run it, you're not sure exactly what it needs. Second time you'll get a little bit closer. Third time you might have it bang on. I've turned on
Yeah, yeah.
AK-39 now. I think it's on my fifth cycle, and yeah, I'm just getting this dialed in now. It's like where I know consistently what it's going to do. And like you said, study the plant, keep an eye on it. Like for me, I check my plants at the same time every day, so I know exactly what they're going to look like at that time. I can
That's
check
a
them
good
in the
point.
morning. Yeah, I can check them in the morning, and they'll look completely different. They'll either be leaves down, depending if the lights just turned on. It's all a matter of time of day with those plants. So you got to take that into effect.
That's
Yeah,
actually
they're living
quite.
things. Like
That's
when they
actually
just
quite
wake
a.
up, they look different than right before they go to sleep, just like us.
Yep.
Sorry, Kinky.
Yeah, that's actually quite a like relatable issue because when I started growing, I was doing a lot of land races. I was so excited that I could grow that I went like crazy and I collected a lot. I tried a lot, but whenever I try a new one, I'd always grow the first one that I grew along with it because I was so comfortable growing that, and I had learned that so much that every time I grew a new cultivar, I'd always run it with the first one that I grew. Like I've grown that strain for like 5, 6 years consistently,
Hmm.
and I just got better at it the more I grew it. And I have like this one batch of seeds, the first batch of seeds. I have a lot of it, and I always pick a few out of it every time I grow. Like I need that first batch because I'm so comfortable growing it. Like I've learned all there is about that one specific type.
Nice, nice. Like for me, I use the AK as like a baseline. Like I know how to treat that plant every time now. So compared to other plants, I
Mm-hmm.
know if it's need if I give it the same feed initially, and when I notice the plant acting differently or responded differently, I adjust just that plant. But I use it as a baseline from the 8K. So I know some plants need a little more nitrogen, some need less. It just
Mm-hmm.
it's a good starting point. Like you get one strain,
Is it
practice it.
is it AK that one plant where you've tried to like abuse it or
No,
like
that's the golden goat. That's the golden goat S1. That I've done that for 3 cycles now, and that is I'll admit far more stable genetics.
mm-hmm.
It takes a lot to even just kill that thing.
Oh damn.
The AK, the initially with it, I know if it gets too much heat stress, it will show intersect traits. Also, if it gets overwatered, like I'll say 2.5 liters in a 1 gallon fiber pot every night for 3 days, I'll see Hermy seeds or signs of Hermy at about week 4. So it's very temperamental. I'll admit
Hmm.
that.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah. I've smoked AK-47 in the past, just growing up. It's finds its way around town. And yeah, I always enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to look around to grow it. I've never, out of all the things that I've had in the past, I haven't really had it. I've never really grown anything from that era, just
Rapid,
because of availability.
have you tried repetitively growing one strain, or you've grown one in specific more than the others, or have you just
No,
diversified
quite the
like you?
opposite. Every
Mm.
every round is new to me. I
Oh,
have to be on
that's
my
beautiful.
toes no matter what.
Mm.
So with the scarlet begonias, I fouled up. I was dealing with other things, and that's okay. Life happens. Don't get too rough on yourself. Just learn and move on. Take that lesson with you. Just like
Exactly.
make sure you took notes too, because that's the most valuable notes you'll have. pay attention to those times. You'll learn so much. Just that's what's so cool about these kinds of shows. Schwoob, Cuz, I'm sure you have had many successes, but just like everything and everyone, you're gonna have your mishaps,
Oh,
and
I have lots of mishaps. I could have an episode just on mishaps myself.
yeah, that'd be an interesting show. Just like,
I
oh,
mean, you
we're
learn
like
from your mistakes.
regretful times in the grow room, but
Yeah.
yeah, you can now take those experiences and let everyone else know and say like, hey, save yourself a couple $100. Listen to me now. But
Exactly.
super valuable. But yeah, definitely. Always have grown something new. I have never really done the same thing over and over again. So having more, that was just out of necessity because I didn't have the space. If I actually have the plant count, I have a plant count of 12. So in California with my medical setup. So it's not, it just wasn't something I could do. I didn't have the tent. I didn't have the, any of this setup. I didn't have a light. So yeah, I'm definitely glad that I do have those options now, and I will be keeping genetics. How I'm going to get around the whole plant count thing is I'm just going to be try to keeping smaller plants. I have been looking into tissue culture for a while. I've just kind of put that aside because guess what? I didn't have space for that either. I didn't have
I
the
have a
funds
question
or
about
anything.
tissue culture.
Sure.
Would it be in violation of the plant count if you kept tissue cultures of more than, like, if the plant count was 10 and you have like 60 plants in stored in tissue culture? Would that violate the plant count, or are you still within the law?
I don't think you would violate it until it becomes like a stable plant on its own. But the way I would get around it is be constantly making more cuttings and putting them in, basically trying to grow roots. So just propagation, just simple, like we all do with cuttings. I need to work on it myself. But yeah, definitely. That's how I've looked at it with the cuttings. They don't mention, there's no limit for as far as I've seen in my own state. Please keep that in mind, bear that in mind for your own, wherever you live. In this case, we're talking about Canada. It might be different. It might be the exact same, but if I haven't heard or seen anything for cuttings, any rules there.
It's very finicky. It's kind of like a gray zone, and it's province to province, it'll change accordingly where you are.
Okay.
So where I'm at, they consider a plant something with a root mass. Doesn't matter if it's flowering or not. But at the same time, they consider if you have a separate cutting on its own, that's a plant, even though there's no roots. So it's
That's weird.
yeah, pretty
Okay.
much.
Shub,
So
you want to talk
for
about gray areas? Austria has a rule where you can veg the plant out and grow it, but once you flower it, that's illegal. So what? Damn, dude.
Yeah. It's counterintuitive. It makes no sense.
yeah. I know for myself, I can just have them like constantly being uh prepared to get in stage. So that's how I'll be keeping stuff. Once I see that it has roots, I deal with it how it needs to be dealt with and move on. Make sure to always have some backup genetics just in case something happens, always.
Exactly.
But that's actually part of the whole thing. It's like I want to have a library. The only way I can have a library is if these are underdeveloped. So they don't count as plants because it's barely even a plant. It's like saying, oh yeah, you have 1,000 plants because you have that one plant that can be made into multiple cuts through tissue cultures. It can be thousands.
Yep.
You don't need the whole theory of it all is you just need one cell and then it can replicate itself. It's going to take a while because it's one cell and it's just biology. But yeah, you don't need much and it can be replicated. So yeah, it's something I've been looking into for a couple years. I'm happy to finally be getting all the stuff. I have it all ready to go. I'm just timing, man. Everyone wants to record something. Everyone wants to talk for a little bit, and then I still have my own garden. I like I mentioned before, dragon fruit. I grow tropical plants, and I'm looking into more annuals now. So like vegetables, the zucchini, cucumber. It's summer.
You
It's
went
the
from
beginning
having
of
an
summer.
orchard just to having a plain on farm. Y-
Yeah. I actually am looking into getting some land like that. Just all I need is a couple acres, but I wouldn't mind getting some more, being next to some friends that are also into the same kind of things, and then work, making all look after each other. Yeah, again, working with the community if I can. But
Almost like a neighborhood.
yeah, almost like a neighborhood. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun with the neighborhood. Really glad I met everyone. It's been very enjoyable, learned a lot, and got to meet a lot of people. Just being in the cannabis community in general, that's how I felt, but I feel it even more working with everyone. Yeah, before that, I was pretty recluse. Growing up, I did have a lot of friends, got a little rowdy, got into some bad habits with that rowdy bunch, and my own decisions were my own decisions. uh Learned that, hey, maybe I'm not on the best road, kind of fell apart with that friendship, and I was recluse since then, because I kind of just fell out of that party scene where everyone around my town knows me, but that's why I'm like, I'd just rather stay in, like, it's enough of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, have a good one, cuz. But yeah, I from all that happening to then starting to grow cannabis, and then like slowly coming back out of my shell again, like, okay, this isn't a party scene. It's a I I just need to get what I need. I don't want to pay exorbitant prices through dispensaries. I'm saving up. I got other
You
things I
get
want to spend my money
quality,
on.
you get assured quality.
The shared quality, that's another thing that just blew me away. My first crop was bad. I Most of it was, I had to throw it out. It had botrytis. I didn't have proper environmental conditions. I didn't have air exchange, the proper air exchange, so that, high temps, high humidities. The only times the air exchange would happen is when I would open it up. I learned a little later, just open up the tents and it'll be fine. Use the natural air ventilations. And then when I actually got a really good exhaust, so I could, well, just have it on a constant air exchange. That's just the way I go. I don't have any issues with constant air exchange. That's just where I learned. Like, so when people ask me, I tell them exactly what I was saying now. I had big problems when I didn't do anything. I have no problems when I just have constant air exchange. Yeah, it's been pretty interesting. But yeah, I definitely learned so much more, and have so much more to learn because of it.
Exactly. Like I'm pretty much in the same boat. Before I was kind of hanging out in the neighborhood, I was just very quiet, worked all the time. It's kind of brought me out of my shell, and yeah, I enjoy it. Especially all the stuff I've learned from you guys, GMF, Raptor, Cascadian. It's just a wealth of knowledge in the group there.
Yeah, there's so many people from different walks of life.
Yep.
Some people are very technical. Others are more methodical. They think way more ahead about like all the steps that need to be done. So altogether, man, it's cool to just go to somewhere and have a question and just like have it answered within a reasonable amount of time. And if no one has the
Oh
answers, guess
yeah.
what? We all
You
look
just sparked a
on our
conversation,
own.
and yeah, it's like, okay, how do we figure this out?
Yeah,
Giant
it
think
turns
tank,
into
what it
like,
is.
how can we make this work?
Yeah.
And it turns into a very interesting conversation. There's also times when it just gets philosophical, like, oh, okay, well, we just talk about stuff that's happening around in the world, and we talk about our own
History.
experiences and how we see it. And yeah, we all respect each other, and it all gets I just haven't been in a group like that before, so I'm very grateful. I've never been in a group where everyone wants the best for everyone and constant improvement is just a day-to-day thing. Like it's part of it. And if anyone has a problem, we work together. So yeah, definitely cheers to that.
Shout out the neighborhood grows.
Yeah, shout out neighborhood grows.
They've been lurking in the chat there. Mr. Backseat.
Yeah,
Anyways, guys, I got to
Mhm.
wrap this up. My wife,
For
if
sure.
most you don't know, has broken her ankle, and I'm kind of being Mr. Dad. So, yeah, unfortunately, I got to go. I can
Mhm.
hear her struggling
Tough
downstairs.
situation.
Thanks for the hangout, man. It's always
Thanks
cool
for
to
joining
hear.
us, guys. Remember, we got the giveaway going on. Go on the Instagram, hashtag Grow for Show, tag 5 people, just leave a little comment, and you have a chance to win a pack of Arise. Canada only. If you're American, you do enter, and you do get selected because it's at random. Who knows? I might not send the seeds. I'll send you a different package. Ooh, can't leave you hanging. Gotta be fair. It's Canadian all.
Very cool of you.
So again, thank you for watching the show. Should do? You can find me on Instagram at Should do. Raptor, say a little goodbye.
Oh yeah, Raptor Grow, all one word, all lowercase. On Instagram, you can find Shrew, myself, GMF on Operation Grow. 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern, 9 UK. And you can find me Neighborhood Grow Show, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 Eastern, and 12 UK around that time. So yeah, please join us. Have a lot of fun.
Kinky, what about yourself?
Yeah.
Where can we find you?
Yeah, you guys can find me at Instagram at Kinky Santa and as well on the neighborhood whenever we're on Mondays live or whatever. And yeah, you can find me talking shit about growing land races and elephant poop, the usual.
Should mention we're also on the Neighborhood Grows Discord. We're always lurking there. Hell, I think I posted 20 minutes for the show. So
Nice.
again,
Yeah.
thanks